So, Colin, thank you so much for joining us for the programme. Great privilege to have you. Thank you. Thank you. So I suppose the first thing we should ask you, as you're here from BodyPositive, is to tell us a little bit about the work that you do.
Well, BodyPositive was established as a charity back in 1998 and came about because of another viral infection. In this case, it was supporting people living with or affected by the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, which is the virus that can lead to AIDS. And so we realized then that people who were affected by this virus could end up being very isolated, very unsupported. It wasn't a condition that was well received. And so we wanted to be able to provide, if you like, the community arm to complement the medical arm of individual support for people. So that's what we were about. And we've grown on from there. And now really what we're about is supporting people who have got questions or issues to do with their sexuality, to do with their identity or their sexual health. And so we've got a number of different strands to enable us to provide that support. So one strand is our Sexwise project, and that is really to do with sexual health. It involves being able to educate and inform people about what sexual health is, how to look after yourself, how to look after your relationships. It also provides practical support, such as the provision of condoms or offering people testing for some of the common infections that are out there, like chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis and HIV. And we also do pregnancy testing, and a lot of that work will happen in colleges, as well as some outreach work that we do. The other side is really what we would call our technicolor strand, which is the support groups for people. So there's one group which is about supporting women who are attracted to other women. We have another group that is for men who are attracted to other men. We have our trans positive group, is for people who would identify as on a transitional journey. And we also have our Silver Rainbows project, which is the one I'm principally responsible for, which is about bringing together people over the age of 50 who might be feeling a bit socially isolated, and offering opportunities where people can meet up, chat, get together, and break down some of that social isolation, which has been a little bit more difficult of late.
Yes, well, Colin, I was going to just bring you back to something you mentioned earlier in that very detailed response, and that was you were saying about how BodyPositive started in 1998 and it was because of a virus. Yeah. In many ways, then, the organisation's rather stolen a march on some of us, hasn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And there are so many threads that we're hearing now that are very familiar refrains to us about the kind of anxieties that people have about what's the routes of transmission, what kind of things put us at risk or put other people at risk, what might those implications be. And we saw then, when HIV and AIDS were very much in the public eye, people wanting to keep themselves safe. And that often meant that people would withdraw. The consequence of that is that now, decades later, people who may have had a fairly strong but fairly quiet support group, ones that, you know, were links that they'd made with other people but weren't generally about being out in the community, start to evaporate, particularly for older people. And so there's almost like a double effect, because there's the isolation you feel about disclosing your identity as someone who is LG, or T, but now there are all these anxieties about whether you're at risk of coronavirus and the implications that come with that particular infection. So in many ways, this is territory we've trod before. And so it's very interesting, as I say, listening to those very similar refrains as we were hearing in the 80s and the 90s.
Could I just ask you about how doing your work has become more of a challenge because of the lockdown situation? Because I imagine that there are you've got the double, the double thing of it can be more difficult to do some of your work, and also you've got lots more people that are potentially looking to access that support. Is that fair to say? Or
it's been very interesting. It's been a learning curve for everyone, and there are a number of different dynamics that come with that. Because of lockdown, it's meant that people who might have had a life that they couldn't be open or public about are now discovering that they don't have those moments where they might be able to give us a call, or they were able to read an article or go online or something for themselves because they're in a household where they've not been able to get away. And so that's added a particular pressure to those individuals who no longer have that safety valve, if you like. So we're getting a lot of calls from people like that, just desperate to kind of have some connection and begin to talk about some of the experiences that they've been going through. There's another set of people who were already reticent about sharing their authentic lives for a whole range of reasons, and particularly the ones in my age group, the people who are 50 plus, 60 plus, who went through a time where to be your authentic self would mean that you could end up in prison, it could end up undergoing medical treatment to try and change who you were. And so those people who were already a bit concerned about sharing who they really are now find themselves in a position of lockdown. So it's a double whammy for those people. And so again, they've been reaching out to us and saying, how can we engage with you again? So we've been doing a lot of our support work via Zoom meetings, as many have. So that's been interesting, just almost watching a generation learn how to deal with the computer and deal with the internet and deal with video calls, and learn that there are certain etiquettes along the way. So that's been an eye opener for some people. So like, turn your microphone off Zoom, off mute. What? So that kind of stuff's been going on. So it's been very exciting. But people, generally speaking, are very keen and very willing to be able to do that. And we've also been pushing out new editions of our newsletters online. So we've created a new one called The Rocket, which is aimed particularly at older people. And so there have been quizzes. I have to say, people don't like my quizzes, they're too hard. So quizzes, songs, icons from people's past that they want to share. And it's, again, just a way of bringing in people's lives and experiences to others, and inviting other people to come and share their stories with us. And that's been one of the projects that's been part of BodyPositive since I've been involved, which is a heritage project, mainly to do with the hidden histories of older LGBT people. We're in Pride Month, and so the history of Pride and what that has meant to different generations, the struggle and the dynamic that's been involved with being able to be the community that we are now has not been an easy one. And so our concern is that some of those stories which are out there, people are reaching an age now where if they were to die, if they were to pass, those stories will be lost. So one of our main projects has been a heritage project of gathering those histories, those artifacts, those memorabilia, so that generations to come will know that the rights that people are currently enjoying didn't just come from nothing. There was a struggle. There was a path that had to be trod by people and continue to be trodden in order to acquire and sustain the rights that people are currently enjoying.
Thank you, Colin. Just if I may touch upon the actual fact that we are having a virtual Pride now as well, then, because a lot of what you're saying is that it's increasingly important that you Body Positive and organisations like yours and support networks for LGBT people are there, are banging the drum as loudly as they can, more so in these times than perhaps ever before. So having a virtual event is a very positive message in itself, is it not?
Absolutely. Anything that allows people to feel connected to others who have a shared and common life experience and history, and know that even if you're at home, social distancing doesn't have to be social isolation. And that's a key message that virtual prides can send out to people. And the joy of being who we are and the celebration of being who we are, and knowing that we are all brought together in this moment from wherever our journey started or whatever age that journey started, and that we will continue to march on from here.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Colin, it's been really insightful listening to your views today. But before I let you say goodbye to us for now, as a thank you to everybody that comes on and gives us their time and is a guest on our show, we do say, can we play you a song as a way of saying thank you? So I'm asking you now if there is a song that you'd like us to play, and perhaps if there is a message behind why you've chosen that particular song, then we'd very much like to hear it.
Well, one of the projects that Body Positive has developed is about LGBT icons. And one of the most fantastic icons that we have is someone called Sylvester. Sylvester was around in the 70s and 80s, very, very popular in terms of their disco music. But one of the main reasons why we would choose Sylvester as an icon is because they were their authentic selves, and they were happy to be who they were. They didn't disguise who they were. They wanted people to know that you could be black, you could be LGBT, and you could be positive and proud of yourself. And I think You Make Me Feel Mighty Real has got to be the song for this.
Wonderful. It's a great song title for a start, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Colin, thank you very much indeed for your time today.
Pleasure.
Goodbye for now.
Take care and have a wonderful Pride, everyone.
Thank you.